Welcome back everyone, I'm Seth Roth, and today we're going to be diving into a mod showcase, one of my favorites, which is called Wildcat. This is an amazing mod that I've really enjoyed. A bit of a preface, you guys probably have, if you've gotten into modding, you know that the first thing that tends to happen is your spells tend to stock up with some things that are closer to overpowered. You'll get the new perk trees that offer so much more firepower. This is the Ordinator perk tree, for example, with this little spell called False Light, where my healing spells actually inflict damage, which is huge. You can actually become a white mage. But my point is that with all of these additional perks, obviously your character becomes a lot more powerful. And it can get to the point where even legendary difficulty can feel a little stale. For example, I would usually play Skyrim at, for example, let's see, that would be what difficulty there. So usually I play at Expert, because I feel like when you get up to Master or Legendary, it just applies percentages, right? When you get to Legendary, you do very little damage, everyone else does a crap ton. And it makes the game take longer. Like, once I would unlock the Impact perk for Destruction, and then go into Legendary, it would just take 10 minutes to kill a guy, not because it was more strategic, but because it just took longer, and that kind of bored me. So if your game is getting overpowered, or you want a different version of difficulty, I highly recommend Wildcat. Now, Wildcat is going to add in a number of elements that are going to make combat more difficult. We'll just go through some of these. One of my favorites are the attacks of opportunity. So if you're in the middle of doing something and you take damage, that damage gets enhanced. So if someone's in the middle of a power attack and you can hit them mid-swing, you will do more damage. But obviously they're in the middle of a power attack, so if they still land that hit, you're in trouble. Also, if you're playing Wildcat as a mage, your chance of being one-shot killed goes up significantly, because if you're casting a spell, unless it's a ward, or you're snuck up on from behind, some of the bandits that I've modded in are actually invisible until they attack you, you can die very quickly. There's also, let's see, health-based attack damage. I actually haven't looked at this one yet. So you deal more attack damage and take more damage when you're at low health, and you take less damage and deal less damage when you're at high health. That's interesting. And melee damage boost. Oh, I didn't realize. Yeah, they just cranked up the melee damage by 25%. That explains why I die so much faster. And then this one you got to be really careful about. Massive targets. This basically turns dragons and giants into like mini gods. I mean, look at this. You disable the reduction to attack damage. Oh, they have reduced. Your attack damage is reduced. Your critical strike damage is reduced. Your spell magnitude and duration is reduced. So if you're fighting a dragon and you tick this little button and you leave this clicked off, I guess these are technically to disable, but your dragons will suddenly be able to shock off a lot of your stuns, your knockbacks, and those kind of spells, while at the same time you just do less damage to them, and dragons become so much more difficult just with this little thing toggled on, without even having a dragon mod. I use deadly dragons. We can go into that in a different video. If you want to play around with some of Wildcat's deeper features, this is the scale currently for damage at different levels of difficulty, right? What's dealt with, what's taken. Legendary, for example, you deal very little damage, and you also take a lot of damage. Wildcat has its own system that is more, I'm not sure if it'll give us the numbers if I highlight it. And okay, this is Wildcat's system. Their core system kind of tweaks the percentages that you already get in the game. But there is an extension of this mod, a patch that you can add on, which will basically treat this like the survival mode in Fallout 4. It increases your damage by 5, and it increases your damage taken by 5. So basically everyone dies faster. I haven't even had the guts to try that out yet, but I am excited to see what will happen. I know if I try that, I will just go to a archer build, because that will be the only way to survive. Over here in dynamic combat, let's see what some of these other things are for. Oh yes, okay, so this is more of the mechanics of the game. So for example, we'll start at the bottom because that's my favorites. Injuries. You have a chance every time you lose a certain amount of health to take an injury. It can be to any limb, arm, leg, head, spine even, and each one comes with its own debuffs. For example, a hit to the head actually disables your magicka regen. And as a mage, that makes the game so much harder. Just a stray arrow will come in and hit you, and suddenly you're getting no magicka back. It also adds in more stamina penalties to when you attack with weapons or when you hold back with a bow, which forces you to be a lot more tactical with your movements. You don't just dive in and start swinging nearly as much because you have to be more careful. It also throws in staggers, interrupts if you're hit at the wrong time, cost for you swinging your stamina, slowing you down when you're out of stamina, and let's see, disables up to, okay, you have 30% lower stamina and magicka regen when you're at low health, and faster regen when you're at high health. So it really adds in a lot of debuffs as you take damage. If you're not careful with Wildcat and you're just wanting to make melee damage hurt more, I highly recommend mixing it with a thief or a mage build because it really motivates you to keep your distance and to use tactics and strategy. If you insist on melee, it is a lot easier if you use a shield because it has an element that enables what's are called timed blocks. If an attack is started and you manage to catch the block within a minute, within 1 second, you get a special buff and the guy gets knocked back. So it's tactical, right? I don't think I have a shield on me, but this is my healing, my cleric basically. I'm going to show you guys a little bit of what this is like in combat. Hopefully, because my guy is a healing god, he won't die. Fingers crossed, right? We shall see. He's also, as you can see, not a lockpick, which is not a delay I was expecting to have during my video presentation. But I think we've almost got this. Come on, you can do it. Just, oh, come on, people are watching. Do not disrespect me in front of my audience. Okay, it's disrespecting me in front of my audience. Now I'm really missing Neverwinter Nights, where you could just break something down by sheer force if you couldn't pick the lock. Of course, then I wasn't running a rogue to save my life. Alright, let's go find us some bad guys. See if I can show off a little bit of how this works. Alright, two-handed hits hurt so much, as you can see. Maybe I'm going to see if I can get... Oh, wow, I forgot this guy is a very high level. I'm hoping to get some injuries, but I am a very high level and very tough. So, for example, that guy was he was casting mid-spell, and we got extra damage because he was in the middle of casting when he took the hit. And the only way to block that as a mage is to actually have a ward up. So it really forces you to use your protective magics. Ah, yes, go ahead. I want to see if I can get an injury. I'm a sadist. Oh, there, saw a stagger there. Wow, this is really good armor. Oh, that's okay. This experiment is getting a little... Come on. Wow, does it really take this much to get a... Wow, my armor is so much better than I thought. That was less dramatic than I expected. I don't know. Maybe I'm going to have to bring in a dragon to show this stuff off. Oh, we have another one. Oh, he's all the way up there. It's just an archer. That's not quite the experience I was hoping to show you guys. But we'll finish off this guy. At least we can show you some extra damage if you can hit him mid-swing. Or when they're in the middle of pulling their bow back. Hi, Choa! Oh yeah, there you go. See? Half his health gone in one hit. Obviously, if you're dealing with a high damage mod like Wildcat, the better your armor, the less those debuffs matter. I don't think I took an injury in that fight, but we will double check. No, I did not. Alright, my guy is tougher than I thought. Couple other thoughts for Wildcat. I highly recommend starting, if you're going to use Wildcat, start it with a new character. Oh, that way you get the full feel for how much harder it makes combat. I remember the first time I tried this off with a level 1 character, I died so fast. You'd go in against like 2 bandits and they would actually get like flanking bonuses, because while you're in mid-attack, the other one's hitting you and then you take more damage. So it's a great way to make combat more difficult without necessarily having to raise the overall difficulty of the game, Or if you're already at Legendary and you want to make things even more difficult, you crack on this bad boy. So I highly recommend it. There's a lot of other things in the engine itself that are more subtle that you'll have to find for yourself over time. But I particularly like the inclusion of injuries. Those are fantastic. It makes the game feel a lot more immersive, I guess. Some last for up to an hour, some for only 3 minutes. You have to heal yourself to 100% before you can get those to go away. So I'm actually considering a no healing, a no restoration build, just so that I can really get more immersive with my injuries and force me to play much more carefully. And I do caution you, if you're going to use Wildcat and combine this with like a dragon mod, be cautious about this particular button right there, because you will turn dragons into really, really dangerous foes, particularly if you're like level 10 or 20 and you don't have all the good resistances to the elements yet. They'll steamroll you. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this brief overview of the Wildcat mod. I've had a lot of success with this. It is actually made by the same mod author who created Ordinator, as well as, I think there's a couple of other ones of his, Wintersun Faiths and Summermyst. Because of that, they actually work well together. There's very few, if any, bugs when you use them all simultaneously, because they were literally built to work side by side. So if you're new to modding, this is a great way to kind of tip your toe in the water and get a taste for a wide variety of mods without having to do a whole lot of patching on your own. So that's your perk overhaul, more enchanted items from Summermyst, religions for Winterfaith or Wintersun, and yeah, Wildcat, which is just great. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this overview of the Wildcat mod, as well as a little taste of some hero on bandit violence. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day, and I will talk to you later. Take care.